Have you ever wondered what your brain is truly capable of? Your brain is an amazing organ that is still not fully understood. It can do things that we don't even know about yet, and it can also do some pretty mind-blowing stuff that most people are not aware of. In this video, we will show you 3 mind-blowing brain hacks that you won't believe exist. But before we get started, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more amazing brain content. Let's begin! No, 1. Your brain can make you feel pain even when there's no physical harm. Have you ever experienced something that was so traumatic that it still haunts you to this day? Well, your brain can actually play tricks on you and make you feel pain even when there's no physical harm. This is known as a stress response, and it happens when your brain perceives a threat, whether real or imagined, and triggers the fight or flight response. This response is designed to protect you from harm, but it can sometimes go into overdrive and cause you to feel physical symptoms such as pain. For example, let's say you were in a car accident. Even if you don't have any physical injuries, your brain could make you feel pain as a result of the stress response. This is because your brain is trying to protect you from future accidents. So it creates pain to prevent you from getting into another car. Similarly, if you witness a traumatic event, such as someone getting injured or killed, your brain could make you feel pain as a result of the stress response. This is because your brain is trying to protect you from experiencing that trauma yourself. It's important to note that this type of pain is not imaginary or fake. It's very real and can be just as debilitating as physical pain. However, unlike physical pain, this type of pain has no physical cause, so it can be difficult to treat. Fortunately, there are some things that you can do to help alleviate this type of pain. 1 is to practice relaxation techniques such as deep breathing exercises or meditation. These practices can help calm your nervous system and reduce the stress response in your body. Another thing you can do is to seek professional help. A therapist can teach you how to cope with the trauma and develop healthy ways to manage your stress. By taking these steps, you can learn to control your brain and reduce the chances of it playing tricks on you and causing pain. 2. You can train your brain to stop crying when you don't want to. Crying is a natural and healthy response to a wide range of emotions, including sadness, grief, pain, joy, and even frustration. It can be a cathartic experience that helps us to express our emotions and release tension. However, there are times when crying may not be appropriate or desired, such as during an important presentation at work or a formal event. In these situations, it would be helpful to have control over your emotions and suppress tears. Fortunately, there are some things that you can do to train your brain to stop crying when you do want to. First, you need to understand the difference between voluntary and involuntary crying. Voluntary crying is when you consciously choose to cry, while involuntary crying is when tears come out without your control. The good news is that you can control both types of crying. Voluntary crying can be suppressed by consciously choosing not to cry. This can be difficult, but it is possible with practice. Involuntary crying, on the other hand, can be reduced by addressing the underlying causes of your emotional state. For example, if you are feeling sad, you can try to cheer yourself up. If you are feeling grief, you can try to distract yourself with positive thoughts. If you are feeling pain, you can take steps to alleviate the pain. Once you have identified the underlying cause of your tears, you can start to develop strategies to cope with it. This may involve practicing relaxation techniques such as deep breathing exercises or meditation. It may also help to talk to someone about your feelings or seek professional help. With time and effort, you can train your brain to stop crying when you don't want to. Remember that it's important to find healthy and constructive ways to express your emotions. Crying is a normal and natural response to life's ups and downs. But it's also important to be able to control your emotions in certain situations. By following the tips above, you can learn how to do just that. 3. You can train your brain to not think about something. Our brains are constantly bombarded with information from the outside world, but we can't pay attention to everything. That's why we have to consciously focus on certain things while filtering out the rest. But what happens when we try to focus on something and it just won't go away? Maybe you're trying to read a book, but every time you start reading, your mind starts wandering. Or perhaps you're trying to fall asleep, but every time you close your eyes, you start imagining all sorts of scary things. This is known as the ironic process, and it can be frustrating and even exhausting. But don't worry, there are some things that you can do to stop your brain from thinking about something that you don't want it to think about. First, you need to understand the ironic process. The ironic process is a mental phenomenon that occurs when we try to consciously suppress a thought, image, or behavior. When we do this, we often end up making the very thing we are trying to suppress more likely to occur. This happens because our brain is always looking for patterns. So when we start thinking about something, our brain tries to find other instances of that same thought or behavior. The more we try to suppress the thought, the more our brain looks for other examples of that thought, which makes it even more difficult to stop thinking about it. So how can we break the ironic process and stop our brain from thinking about something we don't want it to think about? One way is to distract ourselves with a different task. This can be difficult if the thing we are trying to stop thinking about is constantly on our mind. But it is important to try because distraction can help break the pattern of ironic thinking. Another way to break the ironic process is to change our focus from the thing we are trying not to think about to something else. This can be a challenging task, but with practice, it can become easier. By changing our focus, we can break the pattern of ironic thinking and stop our brain from fixating on the unwanted thought. It's important to note that the ironic process is a common human experience. We've all been there. Before, trying to focus on something only to have our minds wander elsewhere. But don't worry. There is hope. By understanding the ironic process and following the tips above, you can train your brain to stop thinking about something you don't want it to think about. It may take some time and effort, but it is possible. Just keep practicing and you will eventually get better at it. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe for more amazing brain content. Thank you for watching.